There was a mention of Jamal Bowman, Congressman Jamal Bowman, and the pulling of some sort of fire alarm. We got a statement on that saying Congressman Bowman did not realize he would trigger a building alarm as he was rushing to make an urgent vote. The congressman regrets any confusion, just to clarify some things on that.
I mean, listen, I think if you actually do see some of the photos of the signs, the exits that are normally open in that building were suddenly closed. They're filing a motion to expel a member who, in a moment of panic, was trying to escape a vestibule.
Yeah, that's what it was. Democrats and some in the media rushing to defend Congressman Jamal Bowman after he pulled the fire alarm during the House vote on the government spending bill Saturday.
Yeah, Bowman says he thought the alarm was a door handle, but today's New York Post cover really casting doubt on that claim. Fox News contributor and columnist for The Messenger, Joe Concha, joins us now. So, Joe, I think that when this first happened, a lot of people were like, okay, let's wait for the pictures and the videos to come out. Now they have, and that cover of the Post sums it up quite well, saying, does this look like a door handle? So where does this go from here?
Where does it go from here? It goes from here asking more questions and laying out the facts, Carly, which is Jamal Bowman used to be a school principal. And even if he wasn't, anybody who's sane or sober knows what a fire alarm looks like. He says the signs are confusing. AOC's out there defending him, runs the CNN, which is a very friendly place for her to do that. I'm sorry, the signs are confusing. That dog don't hunt. There is absolutely no excuse for this. It's all on camera, and anyone who tries to spin this looks as foolish as he does. He should just admit it, what he was trying to do, and apologize, and trying to say that all I know is there's hundreds of members of Congress and only one guy got confused by the signs there. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, and none of this really makes any sense because they were going to vote on a continuing resolution that had none of the conservative priorities in it. So you'd think Democrats would want to vote for that unless what he was trying to do was stall the vote so the government could shut down and then they could blame Republicans.
Precisely. This was all to stall the vote. I mean, again, you are an adult. I'm an adult. My 9 and 8-year-olds know what a fire alarm looks like. He did what he did. He didn't think he would get caught. Here it is. And again, the media would be in an absolute uproar if anybody with an R next to their name tried to pull something like this, literally pull something like this. Instead, there's not quite the outrage that you would see because the guy has a D next to his name.
We'll see what they all say today.
Notice that Joe did not list me when he was rattling off all the people who are adults. Meantime,
at least you're self-aware, Todd. Good for you there.
Ultra Right, the Bud Light woke-free beer alternative, raking in record profits with a special edition can. Yep, that's Trump's mugshot. Joe, that's pretty darn good. $500,000 in the first 12 hours of launching that. I'll take that, Joe.
Beer is the cause of and solution to all of life's problems, Todd, as Homer Simpson once said. There's several ironies here, by the way. A big one is that Trump doesn't even drink, right? We forget that. The guy doesn't drink alcohol. And this ultra-right windfall, it perfectly underscores the fact that this mugshot has somehow served as jet fuel for his campaign, because so many see these indictments, 91 felony accounts, as weaponization of the justice system against the sitting president. And the biggest threat, by the way, to lose his job if you're Joe Biden is Donald Trump. So that's the funny thing here, right? You have this beer that made $500,000 just in a short period of time. And now that we're talking about it, you're going to see it now go, again, jet fuel. Yeah. People like beer and they love this mugshot, apparently. Go figure.
It was really funny. There was one time when the former president was talking about how he doesn't drink. And he's like, could you imagine if I did? I'd be the worst. So funny comment from him.
Let's be realistic.
A lot of beer was had at the Jets-Chiefs game yesterday. How did you feel about Taylor Swift being at the game? We've been talking about this with you for a few days now.
You know, I think when the numbers come out later, the ratings, we're going to see that this was the most watched Sunday night football game in years, you know, perhaps in decades. And if Aaron Rodgers was up against Patrick Mahomes, you would understand why. That is a marquee matchup, possibly an AFC championship preview. But obviously, this viewership is driven by not just football fans who always tune into Sunday Night Football. It's always a #1 show, but those who just tuned in to see what we're talking about, the cutaways of Taylor Swift. She is the biggest star of the century. Her Eras Tour has raked in, what, billions? And as long as she attends every Kansas City Chiefs game, home or away, the NFL will be very happy about that because they have female viewers, younger viewers tuning in for the first time and perhaps liking what they're seeing on the field when we're not looking at Taylor Swift in a luxury box over at MetLife Stadium about 10 minutes away from me.
Joe, the NFL opening an invitation to Taylor Swift to attend any game. Joe Concha extending an invitation to all Kansas City Chiefs fans with that tie. Meantime, I got to go run over to MetLife to turn a fire alarm on so the Giants can't lose tonight. Fox and Friends now. Thanks, Joe.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.